As the government shutdown shows no signs of letting up, a federal judge is giving the administration until tomorrow to explain how it plans to temporarily fund SNAP so that 42 million Americans don't go hungry. Our next guest says that despite what Democrats say, the USDA cannot be used as a contingency fund. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins joins us now. Brooke, so great to have you on. I know you're somebody who cares very deeply about families and children. I know you want them to get those benefits. Explain why this judge, in your estimation, is not correct in his orders.
Well, first of all, Rachel, it's so good to be on, and happy Sunday to everyone. Certainly, I was raised by a single mom in a small town. We talk about this quite a bit. The president has been wholly focused on, in spite of the reprehensible behavior of Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, and shutting the government down and working to pay the military, working to keep the farmers and the farm service agencies open. We've been duct taping, I've been saying duct taping and bubble gumming WIC and SNAP, which are the vulnerable populations food programs, now for more than a month. The judge came down just last week, I think Friday afternoon actually, and said that in fact we do need to use it's a smaller contingency fund. It won't even cover about half of what November would cost. So we are working and looking at all angles right now. The president has been very clear. He wants us to do everything we can to make sure that we can keep these benefits going. So that's what we're doing right now and over the weekend, especially for our most vulnerable populations, as the Democrats keep shutting things down. It's just crazy. Yeah,
you expect them to get a little bit of pressure. I mean, just Hakeem Jeffries' district alone, 43% of households in his district are dependent on SNAP, and he's the one blocking SNAP from moving forward. I want you to look at some of these numbers. 42 million Americans are on SNAP, so that's 1 in 8. 73% of SNAP households are at or below poverty level. 79% of SNAP households include children or seniors or disabled people. And the average household benefit is about $332. Also, Brooke, you've said this before, and I think it's really interesting. You said some of the silver lining is we're getting to look a little bit behind the SNAP program. So we know that 20% of illegals are on SNAP, and that 59% of households headed by illegals use SNAP or some other multiple welfare programs. Talk to us about that as well. Well, a couple of things. There's been a lot of miscommunication out there on the program. But this is one of the first things we did when I walked in the day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with DOJ and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of the couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But, Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer. So we want to, number one, most important, get the government open, make sure the people that really need this money are going to get it. But guess what? There's a new sheriff in town. His name is Donald Trump, and this program will be reformed. We will hold people accountable, and we will be able to help those who really need it. And we can make sure that the food that we do give them
is even higher quality, because I'm all for that as well. Brooke Rollins, we really appreciate you, all that you're doing to make sure that America's people who are hungry, especially our children, our elderly and disabled, get the benefits and the food that they need, especially ahead of the holidays. So Brooke Rollins, thanks for waking up and joining us.
Thank you, Rachel. Have a great day.
You too.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.